And so I apologize for that, but we're gonna still gonna go forward. Despite of everything that happened, despite of everything that transpired, despite of everything that looking at the obstacles, looking at the situation that they were faced, despite everything that happened, it was more of an issue than there was a solution. It was more of a problem than there was a solution. And the great thing about this is it didn't matter what it looked like before them. It didn't matter what was about to happen. It didn't matter what was about to transpire. It didn't. What ended up happening was that God went ahead and provided a way from them to overtake the situation, to overcome the situation. It was when they went around the 6 days and they didn't do anything else. When they went ahead and went ahead and blew the horns and they walked around with the Ark of Covenant one time a day, each day for 6 days, and on the seventh day, they wasn't allowed to shout or anything for the 6 days, and finally on the end of the day, they did. They gave a battle cry, and the horns and the Ark of the Covenant went through, and the walls came down. It doesn't matter what your challenge is. It doesn't matter what you're faced with. It doesn't matter what the situation may come. It doesn't matter how great of an enemy is before you. What matters is if you keep being obedient, that God will go ahead and make a way. I know that we got disconnected. I know that things didn't work out the way it should. I, I know that that word didn't go forth. It's cool. But the opportunity that God has been giving us is to be conquerors and be virtual, to be able to break the stats, to go ahead and be able to overcome our adversaries and to overcome the things that are before us. But it was in their obedience that things begin to happen. It was in their obedience when they did the cry out, when they did that out, when they blew the horns, when they went around there 7 times for the things to happen, for the things to occur. And I'm here to let you know today that it doesn't matter what your situation is. It doesn't matter what the outcome may be. It doesn't matter if it looks like the government is falling apart. It doesn't look right when everything is not working out to your best of your abilities, but God will provide. And just like he did the children of Israel when they overcame the walls of Jericho, he would do for you. May the Lord have a blessing to the hearers and doers of his word. And we're so grateful today to be here. Doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what it seems. All you got to do is trust in God. Listen, I want to say to you that are reconnected, those that are watching the replay, those uh, that are going through, those that are need help in the areas of their lives, God has a plan for us. God has the ability to overcome every situation that we're faced with. And because of those things that we're faced with, doesn't matter to what's happening now. My trust is in God. My faith is in God. And because my faith is in God, he gives us the opportunity daily to overcome the adversary, to overcome the enemy, to overcome everything that we're faced with, to overcome situations that we have no problems with. And the thing that I love about God is despite what happens, despite what someone comes against you, is in that obedience. He went ahead and didn't give up because he saw what was happening. He knew what the prior leadership did. He knew what happened the first time. He knew what the outcome could be, but he didn't understand the whole thing. When God reveals things to you, is sometimes it's in sections, sometimes it's just a little bit, just to get you up to be able to go forth, just to make you be able to prove, just to be able to break through what society has for you. Yeah, it doesn't look good at times. No, the marriage may not look good at times. The job may not look good at times. But in his obedience, in the ability to overcome, to overthrow, when he looked up and saw in Joshua the 6th chapter and saw that it was Jericho, and God already instructed him that I'm going to put them in your hands. That means everything. Isn't it amazing that in times such as this, that God will allow things to happen, things to occur, so things will fall off. People will fall off in your life. Loved ones will fall off in your life. Friends will fall off in your life. But when you line up with what God has for you, when you line up what God is about to show you, when you line up what's about to happen, when it lines up with things that seems like that it can't be overthrown. And if I didn't want to go too deep into it, but when he used the prostitute to hide the spies, and the king got word to it, Rahab knew that it was over with, but the instructions that was followed provided the everything needed to overcome the situation. The family was protected. Her family was not destroyed. Everything else was destroyed. And that's another lesson. I want to get deeper into that. But everything else was destroyed. Everything else was taken over. Everything else. Because when God promised you something, you can guarantee it. It may be 7 seconds, 7 minutes, 7 hours. It could be 7 months. It could be 7 years. But when he begins to do something in your life, it's not about our times. It's not about what we go through. It's not about what we think is right. It's not about how we want to get things done. He already, when we do the obedience and we do the work and we follow the instructions that he gives us, my God, when we do everything that we're supposed to do, I think about when David did everything he's supposed to do. He was fearful at first to retain back the Ark of the Covenant. He did everything that he's supposed to have did. He acquired the blessings. He required the priests. Everyone had to be lined up in your life when he gives you an assignment, a loved one, or someone that you want to be with. It's all in the obedience, how it turns out. Sometimes we have to give up things that we're comfortable with. Sometimes we got to go past the impossible to make things happen. Sometimes it's the times when we have to turn down, times when we have to walk away. Sometimes we have to turn our phones off. Sometimes we have to go ahead and push away from what's going on. Sometimes things happen, things occur that causes us to lose focus. But it's in the obedience. The 7th time, 7 times around, that the walls came crashing. They blew the horn. The priests blew the horns. The soldiers gave out the war cry. Sometimes in the heat of battle, you got to give out that war cry. Even in the midst of problems, in the midst of situations, you got to give out that war cry. Even in the midst, and it looks like it's more them against you. Even though things are not lining up, the finances are not lining up, there's a cry that comes from in. Because that cry comes out, God hears us. Our prayers It's that battle cry that warranted us to come through, that warrant us to get through, that warrants us to go ahead and break through. It warrants us to go ahead and break free from the situation that we're faced with. It's in the obedience that things begin to happen. It's in that obedience when he tells you to bow down and pray. It's and when you get prostrate before the Lord. It's in that obedience when you pull away. It's in that obedience when even though people already spoke negative about you, it's in your obedience that he'll go ahead and make your enemies at your table, make them a footstool. It's amazing that when God begins to do his work in you, you don't have to worry about what's about to happen. You don't have to worry about what's about to seem. Go ahead, and you said it best. What's up, Dave? You don't have to worry about what's going on. It's in that war cry. It's when the trumpet sound. It's when the enemy thinks that he got you. It's when the enemy thinks that you're about to surrender. It's when the enemy sets up traps and snares. But it's when you obey God in that war cry. Yeah, my God. It's when the horns sound. Yeah, my God. It's when everybody is lined up according to what he had established for your life. Yeah, my God. It's those times and those seasons and those moments that things begin to happen in your favor. I'm trying to walk away from this thing. But I keep hearing God say, it's not just that he was obedient to it. He just saw enough mess ups from the beginning to know the outcome if he didn't obey. He already knew that the battle was theirs. And I'm a dabble into the 6th and 7th chapter when Rahab said, I saw what you did at the Red Sea. Word got back to me, and I saw what the outcome was. I saw that the soldiers were captured in the water when it came back. The word got back that y'all were with God. The word got back that God was with you. I'm going to go ahead. I know what the king is saying, but I have to go ahead because I see that the Lord is with you. We know that the Lord is with you. She said, I know that the Lord is with you. And I know that God is with you, Damien. I know that the God is with you. It's amazing that even the enemy trembles at just the thought or the precondition factor that God is with you. It's that point that the Jericho walls in your life will come down as long as you abide in him and be obedient to him. It's amazing that God begins to do things for that. I can still hear the trumpet sound. I can still hear the cries of the soldiers. I can hear them right now. And I can see that the walls just came tumbling down immediately. I don't know about you. It's just in that time and in that season when things begin to happen. And it's warranted for God to show you that he's still God. Whatever you are, whatever's in your life, whatever you're dealing with right now, whatever the situations that arise, whatever the enemy thinks that he's conquered you in that time, whatever the law says, it doesn't. I'm fighting against the state of Texas right now and the government right now, but it doesn't matter because I'm trusting in God. Because I know that he's going to supply my needs according to his riches and glory. I know that he's been my way maker. You're going to hear me say this all the time. He's been my miracle worker. He's been my promise keeper. And when it seems like my darkest roads are ahead of me, he provides light. He comforts me He's with me. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for the Lord my God is with me. So whatever you're going through today, you may not look like what you're going through. You may have to deal with the areas of fear. You may have to deal with the areas of rejection. You may have to deal with the areas of complication. You may have to deal with the points of trying to find out, how did I get to 25 when I only got 5? You may be trying to figure out how this thing is going to work out, but best believe when I say that I trust in God, my Savior, my deliverer, because he says he inhabits the praises of his people. If I could go old school, come and go with me to my father's house. I want you to understand that the walls will come down if you walk in God's will. The walls will come down if you walk in God's way. The walls will come down no matter what the object looks like, no matter what the enemy says, no matter what they're trying to do. God's going to make a way. And because he's going to make a way, you don't have to ask about tomorrow. You don't have to worry about what's about to happen. You don't have to worry about how the outcome is. It looks like it's taking 20 years to get something done, but just in the midst of time, he shows up and shows out. So I speak to you, family. I speak to you, friends. I speak to you, my loved ones. I speak to you and tell you I found joy even in the midst. One of the hardest things that I had to do, I've seen a lot of things, but the hardest thing I had to do was comfort myself when I was in the midst of a major loss. I didn't have time to deal with anyone else. I couldn't even deal with myself. I was so focused on helping everybody else out that I forgot about myself. And just because of that, God begins to honor. Hey, my God. God begins to hear my cry. Hey, and he pity every groan. Long as I live, when trouble rise, I will hasten to his throne. I don't know about you today. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know what the outcome is in your life. What I do know is that despite the outcome, first there has to be an income. And what I mean by that, if you're in a car and the engine dies and you turn the ignition and the lights come on a little bit and go back out, we know that's a failed battery, right? But if the lights come on, stay on a little bit and dies out, we know that that's an alternator, right? But if I'm driving and it just stops, then we know that usually there's a sign before destruction shows up. So I don't know about you, but what I do know is there's always signs before problems arise. And when they do arise, it's up to us to take up our beds. It's that time when we need to kneel down and pray and ask God, what do you want me to do? What would you have your servant to do? So my walls can come crashing down. I've seen it too many times that my obedience opened doors. My obedience put money in my checking account. My obedience made my enemies But it's that time for you to lock in and push through. It's that time. The only thing we can do is stand on the promises of God. Look, I know I'm past my time. We had a little technical issue. So this is part 2. But I already told y'all from day 1, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I'm more than a conqueror. So I put my trust in God. What about you? So at this point in time, as you see at the bottom of the screen, that everybody could take a part of this. The $, the Healing Place 3, Cash App, and if you need the Zelle information, hit me up. I will send it to you. But we want to take this time right now to go forth, and it says Healing Place International because we're doing international things, and because we are not just dealing with the Americas, we are going out beyond that. I want to take this time to go ahead and give you the opportunity to go ahead and place inside the ministry. We thank God for this opportunity to be before us. Pastor T had a family situation going up. Young Prophet had one as well. And so we are so glad to be here before you today. Want to let y'all know something real quick. Since that's been up, we're
ready for you to move. We invite you to fill this room. Come and take your rightful place. We need you now. Say we're ready for you to move. We invite you.
And we're so grateful right now for everything that has transpired. We're so grateful that you tuned in to the Healing Place today. We'd like to thank each and every last one of you, including Irene. Thank you. Aunt, thank you for showing up. Day, thank you for tuning in. And to those that are watching the replay, it is an honor to be before you. The scripture came out of Joshua, the 5th and the 6th chapter. And we're dealing with the tearing down walls and whatever issue that is in your life. God's going to go ahead and make a way. But you got to be obedient to what he wants you to do. And because of that obedience, life is for you. It's your boy, Pastor G, and I'm so grateful that you tuned in today. Don't forget to join us on this coming up Thursday on Zoom at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for prayer. Also, to my men, hit me up. I got something for you showing up soon. Don't forget to tune in. I will go ahead and put the announcement back up on the page so you can go ahead and tune in with us. I'd like to thank Pastor T for the opportunity to be before you. Last week we had the awesome man and woman of God that came in, and I know it was Super Bowl Sunday, but I understand that what's going on. I'm so grateful for the Jacksons, not the Jackson 5, but the Jacksons 2 from Houston, Texas, and we're grateful for this today. Look, love you with the love of Christ. I am so grateful for each and every last one of you. I am so grateful for what he's doing in and around our lives. And check this out. Love you. May God bless you. May God keep you. And may his love abide. Y'all take care now. Be blessed.